metrallazo!
Every conversation about Real Madrid follows the same rhythm now. Jude Bellingham's goals, Vinícius Júnior's chaos, the looming arrival of another superstar. The narrative is clean, marketable, and easy to digest. Madrid is a galaxy again, powered by individual brilliance. But that narrative hides a bitter truth. Without Federico Valverde, none of it works. And the most persistent lie in modern football is the idea that Valverde is a simple runner, a workhorse, a utility player who exists to fill gaps while the stars decide matches. That framing has become so common that it goes largely unchallenged. Yet Valverde is not a supporting act surrounding greatness. He's the structural reason greatness is allowed to express itself without collapsing the team around it. Without Federico Valverde, Real Madrid doesn't just lose energy, they lose control. Bellingham receives the spotlight. Valverde makes the spotlight possible. There is a moment that briefly exposes this reality. Valverde screaming after a rare long-range Champions League goal, veins bulging, rage and relief spilling out. It's not a celebration for the cameras. It's the release of a player who carries weight that most never see. So the real question is not whether Federico Valverde is world-class. The real question is why football keeps misunderstanding him. Federico Valverde suffers from the most damaging misconception a midfielder can face. He makes complexity look ordinary. He does not dominate matches through volume of touches or highlight actions. He does not slow the game to announce his intelligence. He operates at full speed, often away from the ball, in spaces cameras rarely follow. As a result, his influence disappears unless you are actively searching for it. He's quiet. He doesn't dribble like Vinny. He doesn't score like Bellingham. He's quiet by nature. He does not demand attention. He doesn't dribble for spectacle or score in clusters. Despite low, flashy touches, Valverde completes 92% of passes and covers over 11 kilometers per match. Invisible work that defines control. In an era where visibility is often confused with importance, Valverde's game becomes easy to undervalue. At Real Madrid, his emergence during Zinedine Zidane's second spell was not accidental. Zidane had already learned during his first tenure that Madrid's attacking brilliance required a specific kind of balance behind it. When that balance disappeared, the team became vulnerable regardless of talent. He impressed across multiple roles at the Santiago Bernabéu, to the point where he overtook more naturally creative profiles in long-term planning. Not because he was flashier, but because he was dependable. Zidane's praise was measured but revealing. He spoke about dedication, improvement, and importance, not flair. Valverde's intelligence lies in restraint. He takes few risks in possession, avoids unnecessary dribbling, and prioritizes retention. He relieves pressure not by forcing play forward, but by understanding when forward play would destabilize the team. The irony is brutal. Valverde is undervalued precisely because he prevents problems before they become visible. Football culture rewards firefighters. It rarely notices architects. You don't notice him until the team collapses without him. Madrid doesn't fall apart because Valverde scores. They hold together because he doesn't. What happened next was Madrid stopped hemorrhaging control in transitional moments, and a few noticed who had fixed it. We can't have this conversation honestly without addressing Jude Bellingham, and it must be done carefully. Bellingham is extraordinary. His timing, movement, and goal threat from midfield are elite by any standard. He's the kind of player narratives are built around. But narratives simplify systems into individuals, and that simplification distorts reality. Here's the truth in numbers. Valverde covers more distance per 90 minutes than Bellingham, wins more defensive duels, recovers more balls, and delivers a higher number of passes into the final third. While Bellingham scores and gets the spotlight, Valverde quietly constructs the environment that makes those goals possible. Yes, Bellingham scores goals, but Valverde makes those goals structurally safe. When Jude arrives late into the box, Valverde is already positioned to protect the rest of the defense. When Jude presses aggressively, Valverde adjusts behind him to cover the space that press inevitably opens. When Jude roams, Valverde anchors transitions so Madrid doesn't split in half. This is not a coincidence. It's role distribution. Madrid's midfield hierarchy is not about talent, it's about responsibility. Bellingham is given freedom because Valverde accepts constraint. He runs more not because he's less intelligent, but because he understands when others should not have to. While Bellingham scores, Valverde makes the space for it. So who's really controlling the engine? This is where bias forms. Goals are visible. Balance is not. The camera follows the sword, not the hand guiding it. When Valverde is absent, the distortion becomes obvious. Suddenly, others have to do two jobs instead of one. Pressing loses cohesion. Defensive recovery becomes frantic rather than anticipatory. The system begins to rely on emergency actions instead of quiet control. What happened next was that people mistook narrative momentum for football reality. Strip away reputation, and Valverde's game becomes remarkably clear. His greatest strength is tactical intelligence. He understands when to accelerate play and when to delay it, when to support an attack and when to hold his position. Crucially, he resists impulse. Statistically, he ranks in the top 5% of all European midfielders for high-intensity sprints, showcasing a consistent ability to cover critical ground at game-defining moments. His shooting tells a similar story. Valverde consistently finds himself unmarked outside the penalty area through spatial awareness. He reads when defenders are drawn toward ball-dominant teammates and positions himself accordingly. When the ball arrives, he's already set. One touch, head up, strike. Many of his long-range goals have come in high-stakes matches, finals, clásicos, and Champions League nights, where one strike flips momentum instantly. His passing reflects discipline. Valverde favors quick threaded passes when lanes open, but he refuses to force play when they do not. He scans constantly, shapes his body to receive on the half turn, and uses his stronger right foot to play into space rather than into traffic. His progressive carries frequently lead to shots or expected threat (XT), highlighting his ability to transition defense into dangerous attacking moments almost single-handedly. When under pressure, he offers another outlet: ball carrying. Valverde does not dribble to beat men, he dribbles to attack space. Watch the 70-meter chase against PSG, pure football IQ, a sequence where his timing, speed, and spatial reading nullified a counterattack and immediately set Madrid on the offensive. He reads passing lanes before they open, angles his body to guide opponents into predictable decisions, and commits fully when tackling becomes necessary. His aggression is controlled, not chaotic. This is not the profile of a runner. It's the profile of a player who understands how football behaves under pressure. Every sprint, pass, and shot he makes is measured, deliberate, and backed by data. A modern midfield masterclass in both art and analytics. Valverde's versatility is often misunderstood as evidence of a lack of identity. In reality, it's proof of understanding. At Real Madrid, he has been deployed as a right-side midfielder in a 4-4-2, as a central midfielder in a 4-3-3, as part of a double pivot, and as a wide defensive presence when structure demanded it. He's even been used in emergency positions, such as right back in key matches, and shifted into double pivot setups to stabilize the midfield under pressure, showcasing his adaptability at the highest level. In possession-heavy phases, he supports circulation. During transitions, he becomes a carrier. Without the ball, he consistently returns to central protection, especially when Madrid defends in a mid or low block. One important, often overlooked part of Valverde's game is how he covers for Dani Carvajal. When Carvajal pushes forward, Valverde moves back to fill the empty space, keeping the team balanced even if it means giving up his own chances to attack. In the air, he may not be the biggest player, but he reads the game perfectly and times his jumps to direct headers to teammates instead of just clearing the ball. At set pieces, he usually stays back so others can go forward. In the 2025 season, Valverde has played 5 different positions without dropping his passing accuracy below 90%, showing that his versatility never hurts his quality. What happened next was that Valverde became a must-have player in any system, a manager's dream and a fan's invisible hero. Valverde's impact is clearest in moments most people never notice. In the 2022 Champions League final, his assist to Vinícius Júnior is remembered. What is often forgotten is the movement before it. His off-ball run pulls defenders wide, creating the space for the pass to exist. The assist is the finish. The intelligence happens earlier. Earlier in that same match, he intercepted a ball far from goal and quickly started a counterattack, a play almost nobody saw. In El Clasico, one diagonal sprint stops both Gavi and Busquets, cutting off 2 passing options at once. No tackle, no stat, just control. At other times, his runs without the ball drag defenders away and create chances that fans rarely notice. Then comes the recovery sprint, 70 meters of reading the game, not panic, stopping a clear one-on-one. The run starts before danger even appears. And in the 2020 Supercopa, he made a professional foul on Morata to stop a sure goal, a quiet play that decided the trophy. In transitions, he can turn loose balls into attacks with just a few touches, reshaping the pitch before the opponents can react. These moments show the truth. His brains lead the action, and his speed and power just make it happen. Most fans never see the play that really decides the match, but Valverde always does it quietly. Now this is where Valverde's reputation doesn't match reality. The first misconception? That he's just a runner or utility player. People see his stamina and think he's limited. And that's what people don't understand. His running is only one part of the story. He keeps top-level passing accuracy, starts counterattacks with deadly precision, and has even been compared to Steven Gerrard for his all-around midfield game and long-range shooting. And no, that comparison isn't hype. It's based on real numbers and skill. The second misconception is about dips in form. Especially in 2025 under Xabi Alonso, Valverde was asked to control tempo and structure instead of bombarding box-to-box. Fewer forward runs made fans think he was lazy, but it was tactical. Add in minor injuries and fatigue, and suddenly people question his effort. But he never stopped working. When false reports claimed he refused positions, Valverde had to publicly deny them, proving his commitment. The third misconception? Leadership. He's quiet, so some assume he can't lead. But real leadership isn't shouting, it's showing. He's always the first to track back, cover teammates, and stay disciplined. Even at 17, arriving at Madrid, his humility and obsession showed he leads by example, not ego. These myths persist because football culture loves the dramatic. Valverde's brilliance is invisible until you look closely, and most don't. Here's where the argument stops being opinion and becomes an uncomfortable fact. When Federico Valverde starts for Real Madrid, the team wins nearly 70% of its matches across competitions. When he doesn't, that number drops sharply. Madrid also concedes significantly fewer counterattacks per game with Valverde on the pitch, because transitions are killed before they even become dangerous. Statistically, Valverde ranks among Europe's elite midfielders for high-intensity sprints, often covering over 11.5 kilometers per match, while still maintaining an exceptional low turnover rate. That combination is rare. Most players who run that much lose the ball more. He doesn't. In Champions League knockout games, Valverde consistently records 90% plus pass accuracy, while also delivering progressive carries and long-range shots, including iconic goals from outside the box that swing momentum instantly. The shocking part? He does all this without dominating the ball. The conversation has to change. Federico Valverde is not a supporting character. He's the system stabilizer. He's the reason Madrid's stars are allowed to express themselves without compromising balance. Bellingham is the sword. Valverde is the hand that guides it. Once you understand that, the game looks different. So the next time someone tells you Federico Valverde is just a runner, ask them one question. Why then does Real Madrid collapse the moment that he's not on the pitch? Because the truth is simple. He's not underrated, he's misunderstood. And it's not even close. Gang, if you see football the way we do, drop a like, subscribe for more stories that go deeper, and tell us in the comments, is Valverde the most misunderstood modern midfielder?